Good evening and salutations, my GH fans. You know, this episode was a weird one. And the first scene is supposed to generally be a fake out, right? Like, Rick is imagining that Liz found him and rescued him, and he's about to sit there and kiss her and everything. And when he snaps out of it, it's Christina there. The problem with this scene, in a sense, is that they did a little bit too much. They did a little too extra in this, right? It starts off with Outback and Liz being like, "Hey, what's going on? Like what is this about, girl? Whatever, right? Because the dog is not there barking at the the door where they're keeping Rick at in the basement." And then she's like, "Oh my God, Rick, this is where you've been at the whole time," and like takes the ball gag out of his mouth and everything like that. And I'm like, if it was just going to be a dream sequence and a fake out and everything like that, why go through all the extra of the beginning of the setup, right? Like, why do all that? It just would have been much more better if, I don't know, Rick was just down there and he sees Liz and to be like, "Oh my God," just the part where she opens the door and finds him. I would have accepted that, but all this stuff in the beginning just seemed like, why are we doing all this? Not to mention, like, why is Liz without Beck? Like, that didn't even really make any sense. I saw it in the previews, so I was like, oh, wow, Liz is the one that found them. Now, in the end, they did the exact same thing, except for it's Cody with the dog. And, dog is not there barking, and Cody's like, what's going on? Why are you barking for, whatever. So I get it was supposed to like mirror the first scene. It's just the first scene for a dream fake out scene just seemed a little too extra in the beginning. You know what? Let's start off with Drew. So Marty comes to sit there and tell Drew that he just came back from the police station and everything like that, and Drew is celebrating. Just like Nina was sitting there celebrating until she realized that she looked like Boo Boo the Fool. He's sitting there celebrating, oh man, and Michael got arrested. I wish I could have been there to sit there and see his face. And he's like, no, Willow got arrested. So at this point, Drew's like, go down there, do what you got to do. I don't care what you have to do. I don't care how much money it costs. Just get it done. And then he summons Sitwell. Okay? And I use the word summons because Drew, up until this episode, really felt like he was in control. And he tells Sitwell, listen, I need you to use your influence, whatever, and steer the investigation into Michael's direction. You know, um, make it look like Michael was the one that make it look like it was one that Michael was the one that bribed the judge and everything. Now, I don't know how Sitwell found this out, but Sitwell was like, see, that's going to be a problem. Because right now it looks like you're the one that bribed the judge. They found the receipt of the transaction of, what looks like a paper trail from you bribing the judge. And that's when Drew's like, it was Sonny. He's like, and then he's like, yeah, so I really can't sit there and help you. But then Drew's like, you're the one that sat there and killed the judge. He was like, well, listen, here's the thing. I mean, if it looked like I did it, then technically you really did it. And he explains to him in detail that he has evidence against Drew as far as him bankrolling him, the drive Sonny out of Port Charles, and just some other stuff or whatever. So in reality, Drew felt like he was in control the whole time. And it was his arrogance. And the fact that he's a quarterman, he has some money, he's a politician, that he felt like Sitwell was working for him. But at the end of that conversation, no. Sitwell was like, yo, listen, this is going to be the last time that you summon me. After today, when I call, you come. Okay? You work for me. And then he just walks out. And I'm like, did you not know? You knew Sitwell's reputation. And you underestimated him. You were just so goddamn desperate to sit there and get Sonny out and revenge on Jason and everything like that. Even though Jason was the one that actually saved your ass, you were so hell bent that you decided to work with Sitwell and felt like you had it under control. You know the guy, he's been around, he's been doing this for a long time. You somehow thought that you had the upper hand on him. Hubris, ego, whatever you want to call it. But today, Drew looked like Boba the Fool. Now, back at Carly's place, um, Diane got to sit there and ask the tough questions. She's like, while it may look like, Willow's the one that's in trouble right now, either one of y'all two, because both Michael and Carly went to Liz's place, and there was a moment where Liz wasn't there watching Carly or Michael, and they could have both planted that gun there. Even if this is they're saying they didn't do it, doesn't mean it didn't look like they did it. Hell, even towards the end, um, Willow was there telling Willow was telling Martin, he's like, I can't believe it. Michael set me up. Now, at the police station, long story short, Justine, when what a day. When Marco came to sit there and represent Nina and Marty came to represent Willow, Justine, well, first of all, she had to sit there and remind Nina that she ain't control her shit. Nina was like, oh, I demand sit there and see my daughter. I demand this, I demand that. I was like, girl, if you do not shut your goddamn mouth, essentially. And, Justine was like, yeah, we're going to sit there and show your lawyer the evidence that you were not with Willow the entire time. Showed it right then and there. And at that point, Nina knew that she was caught. Nina was like, listen, if I admit that I lied for Willow, then that's basis into this and that I don't believe her that she didn't shoot Michael. That she didn't shoot Drew. And I'm practically, making the DA's case a lot easier for her. And Willow is, in the interrogation room, she's crying, she's upset, and, she's scared. She's upset that she got arrested in front of her kids, which I still think was out of pocket. And, Dante didn't feel good about it, but he was like, it was about timing. They had to sit there and do this coordinated attack as far as arresting both of them at the same time. And he didn't feel good about it. Now, of course, at this point, Willow still Smith there claiming, yeah, listen, I was with Nina the whole time. So what are you talking about? Like that time I went out in the rain, I was with Nina. And at this point, Dante didn't even say anything. Dante pretty much was like, get your lawyer. Now, when she sat there and said like she didn't have anyone, she said it out of anger, but she also said it out of hurt. And part of me was like, well, the reason why you don't really have anyone is because of the choices and the decisions that you made. So I feel like there's when she said there was a level of hurt and sadness, but I'm like, you got nobody to blame except for you. Now, Marty did come in there and tell her, just don't say anything else. Let him sit there and do the talking at this point. Because, let's be honest. Yes, When you look at it, Willow has motive, and the gun was found in her room where she was not there staying at. But it's not a slam dunk case because the fact that Michael went to the house and the fact that Carly went to the house, they could have easily planted that gun there. Could have easily planted that gun there. That's kind of a more of a saving grace. Now, even Diane was like, "This isn't over. The trouble for you two is just about to begin." Now, while that's going on, you know, Alexis neighbors and they're talking. Alexis like, "Listen, after this whole money transfer thing goes through, we need to be civil with each other. At the very least, like we need to sit there and just let go of the past, let bygones be bygones. We don't have to be besties or anything like that, but just moving forward." And of course, Ava is still on the same song and dance of, you know, that money was owed to me after everything that Nicholas put me through. And I'm like, listen, that's just called marriage. You ain't entitled to shit. You're not. And what makes it worse is that she's stealing money from a baby. She's a scumbag. Like, the whole "I deserve this," it's just like in one ear and out the other. It's like, I'm so sick and tired of her saying that shit. Um, Meanwhile, Rick and Christina are just going back and forth with words. Nothing really to damn tell. But she does go back to Alexis's office and is like, "Hey, listen, I just came back from Rick. We don't have any more sedative, but after today, we won't have to really worry about it." And the conversation between Ava and Alexis is so good that she decided to hand Christina the keys towards the car, as evidence, even though that the money didn't go through yet. Like, listen, just live your life. Let this just be over. And Christina does apologize for that, and she is genuinely sorry for it. And although they don't sit there and hug, they shake hands. I have a feeling that whole thing, granted, yes, if you saw the ending, you saw Cody and the dogs and they're barking right where Rick is, and Rick heard the barking, and he's not there yelling with a sex toy in his mouth. But if Cody finds Rick, that's all going to be blown apart. On top of that, also there's a point where Cody is not there talking to Molly, another conversation that goes nowhere. But when Liz comes in, Liz is getting kind of worried. Liz is like, "All right, so what's the name of that damn spa that that Rick is at?" Because she was meant to try and call him before, and it's just very odd, like for him just disappear like that. And the longer he's gone, the more that Liz and Molly are starting to worry so much that Molly's willing to sit there and break a couple of rules and use her pull as like the officer's DA, just sit there and find some answers. Now it is only Tuesday, so they got a lot of story to cover. I don't know. Maybe all the stuff will go down on Friday. But I feel like that's. Oh, there's a point where Chase is not there talking to Dante. He's like, listen, do you have to sit there and do that? Did you have to sit there and wrestle in front of your kids? Dante specifically says you need to be careful because you're going to come across as impartial. It can mess up this whole investigation. He is worried about Willow, and he talks to Justine. He's like, Justine, listen, she needs to sit there and know that her kids are okay and that they're not scared or anything like that. Could I go in there and talk to her? And I'm like, Broski just literally told you to be careful. So you go to the acting DA and you say, "Oh, could I just tell her that her kids are okay?" Justine's like, "Yeah, sure. Okay, that's fine." Granted, even she didn't feel good about having her arrested in front of her kids. But, even Dante was like, "I'm surprised you actually let this go through," but there was a reason for that. she feels that because they have history and Willow trusts Tate, and Willow trusts Chase, that if she's going to sit there and confess to anybody, she'll confess to him. So, that's why she allowed that. And that's when she drops that little bomb and they're saying, you know, um, Michael's the one that set me up. No proof, but he was there. She can sit there and confirm that. Liz can confirm that also. So again, while Willow is scared and everything like that, I'm like, you need to kind of chill out because although it's not looking good, it's not as bad as you may think. And regardless of the bravado that the cops is there having, oh, we got the gun and it was in your room. So you have fingerprints. You have anything. Just a gun. Okay. Well, listen. At the end of the day, the burden of proof relies on the state. So, like, any decent lawyer can sit there and argue against that. He just has to chill the F out. Now, I feel like that's generally about it. Yeah, I feel like that's about it. Now, if I miss anything, write in the comment section below. I will be doing a live stream tomorrow. We'll sit there and talk about all the soaps, everything from today, and everything that'll go on tomorrow. We'll talk about that as well. With that being said, I'm going to go. I'll see you in the next video.